what is inclusive education?
So, what is inclusivity? Inclusive education means all children in the same classroom, in the same schools. It means real learning opportunities for groups who have traditionally been excluded, not only children with disabilities, but speakers of minority languages too. Inclusive system value the unique contribution students of all backgrounds bring to the classroom and allow diverse groups to grow side by side to benefit of all. Inclusive education means meeting individual differences in general classroom as it refers to the inclusions of all children in the education system, regardless of their differences and disabilities. It is values the diversity each child brings to the classroom and facilitates all with equal opportunities to learn and grow. Inclusive education improves the quality and making provisions of education for all. Inclusive education welcomes and celebrates diversity. It provides a provision to include disability children along with normal children in regular classroom environment. It refers to an education system that accommodates all children regardless of their physical, intellectual, social, emotional, linguistic, or other condition. Basic principle of inclusive education. First is equity and equal opportunities for all. Well-constructed educational plan, use of multilingualism as a resources, use of specific pedagogical strategies, sensitization towards individual difference.
What is inclusive education? Inclusive education is about how we develop and design our schools, classrooms, programs, and activities so that all students learn and participate together. Also, it is about ensuring access to equality education for all students by effectively meeting their diverse needs in a way that is responsive, accepting, respectful, and supportive. Students participate in education program in a common learning environment with support to diminish and remove barriers and obstacles that may lead to inclusion. Inclusive education is carried out in a common learning environment. That is educational setting where students from different backgrounds and with different abilities learn together in inclusive environment. Common learning environments are used for the majority of students. Regular instructions are and many inclusive classroom, libraries, gym, performance, music rooms, cafeteria, etc. Inclusive education is simple based on the thought that every single child and family member is equally valued and deserve the same experience and opportunity as anyone else. The idea is especially for children with disability, whether an intellectual disability, development disability, physical disability, etc. Nothing is too big or too small for inclusive education. It is meant for everyone who feels left out of learning experience, social interactions, and any other everyday activities. The process involves ensuring that all students have access to support high equality instruction and intervention in general education classes that are appropriate for their age. Having an inclusive school means creating a culture that is both respectful and collaborative for everyone in attendance. Students with any disability unable to develop more positive social relationship with their peers fully participate in the community of the school and are equally valued in every aspect of the system.
Education advocates, welcome to Rappler Talk. Sarah and Jerome. Sarah is a 22-year-old student from Doña Juan Elementary School in Holy Spirit, Quezon City. She has cerebral palsy and is fully included in a regular class via the inclusive education program. And also joining us is Jerome Zayas, a researcher on the issue. Let's start with advocacy, yung inclusive education. What is it exactly?
Inclusive education yung pinabanggit nga ni Sarah sa pag-usap natin kanina. Lahat kasama sa isang classroom. So regardless of your religious background, in this particular instance, regardless of disability, you're given the same opportunity as anyone else. No? In the classroom that facilitates learning and opportunities for all. So in principle, yun yung tinatawag natin inclusive education.
Yeah. Ang pinopromote yung hashtag sa summit ay hashtag #IamYou. Maybe Sarah can share with us yung experience niya bilang isa sa mga nag-benefit ng inclusive education program. How is it to be you? Ano exactly yung experience mo dun sa classroom para sa mga hindi pa familiar sa program?
Siyempre po kapag person with disability ka po, tapos nag-aaral ka sa normal class. At the first po, mahirap. Pero kapag po andyan yung support ng teacher mo, tapos ng mga student, at saka nun sa community nyo, parang mas dadali po lahat. Kasi parang, kagaya po sa loob ng classroom namin, kapag nasa loob ako ng classroom, yung mga bata po, mas nagiging aware po sa kalagayan ko. Kasi po, hirap ako mag-write. Hindi po kung gano'n nakakasulat. Kaya ang ginagawa po ng mga bata, parang kapag nakikita po nila akong nahihirapan, sila uli nag-write para sa akin. Kaya ayun po, parang doon po, parang mas, hindi lang po kami yung nagiging include. Pati po dun sila, parang mas natututo po sila makipaghalubilo po sa kagaya po namin mga mga makeup man sana. Yun.
Maaari mo bang balikan yung experience mo para i-compare natin yung naranasan mo nung kindergarten ka, yung nagsisimula ka pa lang, hanggat nakapasok ka sa inclusive education program?
Ayun po.
Anong kaibahan?
Ayun po, dati po kasi nag-start po ako nung kinder ako, tapos nasa regular class. Tapos nung mag-video na po ako, hindi po, in-accept po ako ng teacher. Pero mga ilang month lang po, sabi niyo po sa akin, huwag na lang daw, maganap daw po yung mama ko ng school para lang po sa mga makeup man sanang kagaya ko.
Anong sabi mo sa mama mo at sa teacher mo noon?
Parang wala po kami magawa kasi parang binubuli po kasi ako Binubuli po ako ng mga estudyante. Tapos yung teacher po, parang lagi po siya napapaaway dahil po sa akin. Ganun po.
Sir Jerome,
Problem of inclusivity. In inclusive education, every children has the right to quality education and learning. Like a young girl in his backpack runs to school with a smile, eagerly dragging his guardian behind. And on the survey, an estimate of 240 million children worldwide live with disabilities. Like all children with disability have ambitions and dreams for their future. Likely, all children, they need quality education to develop their skills and to realize their full potential. Yet, children with disability often overlooked in policymaking, limiting their access in education and their participation in social, economic, and political life. Worldwide, these children are among the most likely to be out of school. They have faced persistent discrimination, stigma, and the routine failure in decision makers to be incorporated disability in school services. Disability is one of the most serious barriers to education across the globe. Rob their rights to learn, children with disability are often denied the chance to be taken part in their communities, the workforce, and the decisions that most affect them. Like a young boy wearing an assistive device listens to a speaker and the aware listening sessions. A 5-year-old Udi who has a speech disorder attends the UNICEF supporting the awareness sessions in Jordan on the rights of children with disability. Getting all children in school and learning. Inclusive education is the most effective way to give all children a fair chance to go to school and learn to develop their skills that they need to thrive. Having disability can be one of the most marginalized factors of child's.
In education, finding ways to meet the learning needs of students with disabilities can be challenging, especially in school, district, region, and countries with severely limited resources. Inclusive education, which fully engages all students, including education with disabilities or other learning challenges. In-quality education has proven particularly effective in helping all students learn, even while challenges to implement inclusive education system remain. This guide provides suggestions for developing inclusive education system and policies, especially for low and middle income countries that are moving from the segregated system toward an inclusive system of education. We especially address the needs of countries with limited resources for implementing inclusive education. However, our strategies and recommendations can be equally useful in other contexts where exclusive education practice have not yet been adopted. Inclusive education is a process of strengthening the capacity of the education system to reach out to all learners. It involves restructuring and culture, policies and practices in schools so that they can respect to the diversity of students in concerned region. It is one of the most effective ways by which we can promote an exclusive and tolerant society. There are several obstacles and challenges related to educational system which hinders to promote exclusive education. It is not impossible to attain success in exclusive education in nation through effective strategies and other means, but at the same time there are some issues as well as some challenges which we have to handle with soft hands. To make inclusion appropriate, teacher preparation, awareness, and attitude toward disabilities, retention of special children, etc. must be made compulsory in all programs, respective of elementary, secondary level, and higher education.
Further quality resources, faculties, and facilities must be supplied to each institutions to make the inclusive education's program successful. Inclusive education is an educational system that provides opportunities for special needs and talented students to pursue educations of mainstream schools along with other normal students. Following are the challenges and constraints in the development of inclusive educations. Rigid school system. Rigidity in the school system does not allow the special student to outpour in learning with normal ones. No special curriculum is here to fulfill the diverse needs of special students. Lack of cooperations. Lack of cooperations and attitudes of parents and teachers toward disability, differently abled and marginalized children is also one of the major issues in inclusive education setup. Inadequate and unfair safe state provisions. The concerned authority should be sincere and committed enough to execute policies regarding inclusive educations, but there are inadequate and unfair state provisions towards inclusive educations. Persistence of parents. The parents and families of such children should be made aware of such provisions and rights through awareness programs and advertisement on printed and electronic media. Thus, it is included that rigid school system, lack of cooperation, and inadequate and unfair state provisions are the challenges and constraints in the development of inclusive educations.
Problem solutions. If the goal of an inclusive education system is to include all children, then we should think about why it's good for children, teachers, and staff, and the whole school. In order for our students to be on a level playing field with each other, students with disabilities need to be afforded the same opportunities as those in general population. Students in an inclusive system should be provided academic, social, emotional, and physical supports. So, why is this inclusive approach better for our citizens? When our students leave K to 12 school and enter post-secondary education or the workforce, they need to understand the importance of cooperating with different types of people. An inclusive system of education builds on that understanding for the learners. When students with disabilities are pulled out of the classroom and instructed in totally separate settings, they aren't always accepted by their peers.
Those students also can begin to feel and notice differences. Inclusive setting-based schools can also promote more teamwork and less divisions. Effective common learning environment. Enable each student to fully participate in the learning environment that is designed for all students and shared with peers in the chosen educational settings. Provide a positive climate, promote a sense of belonging, and ensure student progress towards appropriate personal, social, emotional, and academic goals. Are responsive to individual learning needs by providing sufficient levels of support and applying student-centered teaching practices and principles. Common learning environment, an inclusive environment where instruction is designed to be delivered to students of mixed ability and with their peer group in a community school, while being responsive to their individual needs as a learner and use for the majority of the students' regular instruction hours.
On August 2016, the 7th Congress of the Republic of the Philippines has released Inclusive Education for Children and Youth with Special Needs, instituting inclusive education and establishing special education centers for children and youth with special needs in all public schools division, providing for standards and guidelines and appropriating funds therefore. Inclusive education strives to address the learning needs of children with special needs, with a particular focus on those who are subject to being isolated and excluded. The philosophy behind inclusive education is to promote opportunities for all children to participate, to learn, and to have equal treatment, irrespective of their mental or physical abilities. While the awareness on inclusive education in schools throughout the country is still at an infancy stage, educational institutions are somewhat skeptical about having both normal and children with special educational needs studying in the same classroom. Some benefits of inclusive education for students with disabilities are to increase social initiations, relationship, and networks, be role models for academic, social, and behavior skills, increase achievement of IEP goals, greater access to general curriculum, enhance skill acquisition and generalization, increase inclusion in future environments, provide greater opportunities for interactions, increase school staff collaboration, increase parent participation, and families are more integrated into the community. Dr. Howard Gardner claims that all human beings possess all intelligences in varying amounts, and each person has a different intellectual composition. While the benefits of inclusive education for students without disabilities promote meaningful friendships, increased appreciation and acceptance of individual differences, increased understanding and acceptance of diversity, prepare students for adult life in an inclusive society, opportunities to master activities by practice teaching others, and all students are better met greater resources forever.
Inclusive education ay isang batas o isang sistema ng edukasyon natin dito sa Pilipinas at sa buong mundo na nagbibigay ng right sa lahat ng klase ng learners para makasabay siya at para makasama siya sa mga regular student with certain modification and adjustment kung same objective ng teacher para sa lesson upang siya ay makasabay depende sa kanyang educational need.
Why is inclusion important? So I believe inclusion is very important because it develops the feeling of belonging, and this feeling is very powerful one because it greatly reduces a certain psychological anxiety among students. For example, when people feel included, they are better to be able to contribute the group and their society without fear of being ostracized or criticized. By bringing their ideas, they are offering a particular perspective which is stemmed from a completely different background. This makes space for further inclusivity and creates a cycle of growth and acceptance. In inclusive education, in this article or in this lesson, we'll take a look at disability inclusion, gender equality, and how you can make a positive or how you can make a classroom a positive space for all. So without inclusive and equitable education for all, countries will not succeed in achieving gender equality, breaking the cycle of poverty that is leaving millions of children, youth, and adults behind. So, in UNESCO, we have the goal of an inclusive classroom that provides all children with an appropriate learning environment that allows each of the opportunity to reach their potential. Each student can reach their full potential when they are given the opportunity, resources, and teaching that suits their needs. So let's take a look at some resources you can use to promote equality and inclusion in your lessons, so in our daily life. Helping disabled learner thrive in a digital world, the sudden switch from online learning could be potentially disadvantage students with specific learning difficulties, or in some terms it called SPLDS. So tayo siyang may mga certain difficulties sa students about those. So in the rush to set up digital platforms, the needs of students with the SPLDS SPDS or specific learning of disabilities are difficulties of SPDLDS are specific learning with the difficulties might be ignored or temporarily delegated to the background. So, di pa na siya kayo magamit sa further na environment for now sa mga disabilities or person with disabilities because medyo kailangan pa siyang improvement and further testing na if pwede na siya magamit for those children with special needs.